Okay, so we're going to conclude the strings lesson as part 4 here, where we're going to be formatting strings. But before we do that, let's revisit the concatenation aspect of strings. Let's say we have two strings, maybe A equal hello and B equal there, right? So we can concatenate these two strings into a message. Let's call it message equals A plus B, okay? Not only that, you can actually add spaces if you want to. So first, let's go ahead and print the message the way it is, right? So let's see what this yields, okay? So as you can see here, that's concatenation, which means attach this string to this string. In our case, we created a new string, right? Since A and B are immutable individually, but we have a new string that is a composition of these two. Can we put a string literal in between? Sure. We could do something like this, plus. So a string literal is a string that you can actually put in here, not as a variable. So this is a string variable. This here is a string literal that happens to be empty. So let's see what that will do for us. And notice now we have a little space. Great. Now, what if we have an example where we needed a number, for example, to be part of this complete message? So let's go ahead and create a scenario where we're going to need something like this. Let's say the price of an item equals 3.78 cents. Let's say the item name, and let's say that's milk, right? And let's say quantity, and the quantity for this will be, let's say in our store we have 4 jugs of milk, okay? What else? Maybe it has an item ID that you use for inventory, right? So we can call that one item number or item ID. And let's say it's a number, an integer number, 67, right? That identifies milk in our database. Now, the message we want to display here will be a combination of these things, right? So we could say something like this, product and we can add the actual name. Now, if I print this, you can see that the product is milk. Let me spell product better. Here you go, product. There you go. Let's run it again. Okay. And you can see our message is the actual product. Let's say now we want to display the price. So maybe we want to concatenate something like this. Price equals, but here's the problem. If you do price, we're going to run into a problem because price is numerical. We cannot concatenate a number as is to a string. Let's see what kind of issues we're going to run into. Okay, as you can see, it sees that price is a float type. You can't concatenate it to a string. Now, could we typecast it? Could we do a string or string and then typecast this thing here in it? Let's see if this will work. As you can see here, it doesn't do it this way. Let's do str, right? So for typecasting, let's see what happens. And then we have no problems. But notice, because I didn't put any spacing between price and this, I could cheat and put something like this. Or better yet, I'm going to do a /n. /n is an escape character for a new line. Let's run this again. And notice now I have product milk. Price is 3.78. I'm going to show you a better way to handle this. So let's say now the next item is how much, or what is the item ID and how much of it do we have in our inventory. So maybe quantity And you can concatenate. This time, you convert quantity into a string. Okay. Next, notice I'm running out of space here. So let's say we go over here and do a plus here. Let's see what happens. And you can see here we're going to run into some issues. Let me just put just an empty space to show you that you can't just, like you run out of space, you would do it this way. Let's put the plus here and see if that would help. Okay. As you can see, it really doesn't work that way. So you have to put it in as much as possible in the same line for now. Okay. And I'll show you later on how you can break it up if this is getting too long, especially when you're writing long formulas. But for now, we're going to put the, so we've handled the quantity. Let's go ahead and handle the item ID. ID. And then we're going to also give it a new line. So /n. We're going to do the same thing with quantity, /n. And then here we're going to do str. And we're going to add quantity, or item ID, I'm sorry, here. So the item ID. All right, so let me just expand this a little bit so you can see, right, what's going on. Let's see what the message looks like. And there you have it. So we have the product is milk, price is 3.78, quantity is 4, ID is 67. Is there a better way to handle this? The answer is yes. We could do what we call string formatting. So instead of writing it this way, you could decide what you want your message to look like and then put placeholders where you want these quantities or these qualifiers in that string. So maybe something like this, product, and then some sort of a curly brace here that indicates that will be a placeholder for a variable. And then put maybe a /n here for a new line. And then maybe quantity. And then a curly brace. And then maybe another /n. And this time will be, so we have the quantity, we want the item ID and then the price. So ID, and then a place to put the ID, the actual ID, and then a /n, give me a new line. And then we're going to put the price here. Matter of fact, I'll put a $sign here just to show that's what's going to be in here. We're going to put that. Now, if you try to print this message as is, you get those curly braces, right? So because we have not done anything in terms of formatting and associated these curly braces to these variables. So how do you do that? You're going to go over here to where the message is. You're going to type .format. And in the parameter list, you're going to put it in you're going to put these variables in the order in which you decided this to be. So what is the product? Well, that's the name. That's the order. What's the next one? Quantity. Well, that's quantity, lowercase. Next, what are we looking at? The ID. Well, that's the item ID. And lastly, we want price. So sure enough, the variable name for that is price. Now let's see if we get this message with these items inserted in these placeholders. And sure enough, here we go. All right, so this is one way to do it. There is another way, and where you can decide in which order you're going to do anything. For example, let's say I have these in a different order. For example, price, name, and let's say, what's the other quantity? Oops. And then what's the last item? Item ID. Okay. Now, these are not in the same order as what we have here, right? So if you try to run this, you're going to get wrong results. Okay? Right. So the order is extremely important, but can we reassign these without changing the list here? The answer is yes. You can look at price and say, okay, price is going to be, and you can use it like an index. This will be position 0. This will be 1, 2, 3. So right here where the curly brace is, you're going to put exactly where price is, 0. And then name, right? So the name, that would be 1. 2 will be quantity here. And then item ID here will be 3. Now let's see if we get everything back in order. And there you have it. All right, so this concludes for us on how to manipulate some strings. We're going to see more examples of strings as we move forward through our course. See you then.